Good morning on this cold, wet Thanksgiving Day. Yep, it's Thanksgiving. I'm not sure when this will come up. A week from now? 2 weeks? I don't know. But it's technically Thanksgiving. So, happy Gluttony Day. Yeah, welcome to the workshop. Alright. Hey, you notice there's a few things a little odd here. There's a propane bottle, a tripod, piece of angle iron, a bucket of tools that you're not used to. Well, we're going to turn some copper from regular copper pipe to dead soft, and we're going to hammer it out into thin plates. One of the things I've done in my spare time before is make roses out of copper. Most people on YouTube make roses that are pretty much full size to a little over full size. I make them where they're 1.5 inches long, stem and all. The actual head is about 7/8 to 3/4 of an inch. They are really lapel pins. The first one I made, the person loved it and they cherish it dearly. So we're going to make some more, and once I get a bunch made up, I will put them on my donation page, and I'm thinking 150 or more, and you could claim 150 or more in donation, and you can claim one of these pins. The goal is to make 10 of them to put up. So, let me get this set up and in the right place to film what I'm going to do, and we'll get back to you. See you in a few. Okay. Yep, it's recording. Okay. Had to look twice. Not quite used to having this in the tripod yet. Anyway, let's hope the sound works. This started off as a piece of scrap copper pipe. You can see I've already cut it open the other night. So we're going to put that here. And get some gloves on. Yes, you get the boredom of looking at a broken piece of pipe. Well, Maura, stick some gloves on. I know the excitement never stops on my channel, does it? What's Maura doing now? Well, we're looking at a pile of junk, and Maura's talking. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, set some pliers out where I can readily get to them. Should have done that a minute ago. And should have turned on the propane bottle too. Well, I'm not doing too good today, am I? Okay. So, this is a standard screw-it-on a little disposable bottle propane torch. The hose actually came from the camping department. Might have been Walmart years ago. So, once we get enough gas going, well, once we get the gas out of the big propane bottle up here to the torch, and now we're going to be, Maura, I thought you knew what you were doing. Well, Maura thought so too. Possible. Hey, there it goes. These bottles don't like to run real well when they're cold. So, now we have our pliers handy. Off camera, straight below here, we have a bucket of water. Now, when you're heating iron, you heat it up nice and hot and you quench it, and it hardens it. It stays at that, depending on what temperature you got it to, that particular hardness. Copper and aluminum and gold, and I believe silver, all do what's called work harden. So as you hammer them cold or you work with them cold, they slowly get harder and harder. And you heat them up as close to red orange as you can, and then you quench it, or you can just let it sit there and air cool, but the quench works better. And when you quench it, it becomes what's known as dead soft. Now in the case of this project, it's going to have to be done multiple times. There will be a point when I'm hammering this on my homemade anvil that I will have to kill the sound on the video or greatly reduce it, because this stuff gets loud when you're hammering it. And it's not really as much a copper is loud as just the hammer ringing on the anvil is loud. So you need to have ear protection on, earplugs in, whatever your preferred choice is to protect your hearing. And then of course this is going to take longer because one, the piece is a little longer, and two, it's cold out here. It would take even longer outside because the wind is blowing. See if we can shoot the heat into the split here. I'm not sure the camera shows it, but it points when you go through with the torch. You can see the copper move. My videographer today happens to be a tripod that I bought at Kmart. Yeah, that's how old it is. It's primarily been used on an old video camera and a still framed 35mm for many years. It's just got an adapter now that graduated it to cell phone. And if you get curious, that is a Samsung Note 20 Ultra that I use for the video. Now people always wonder, well, what kind of rig are you running? Well, that's what I'm running. The microphone on the phone is what I use. So sometimes you'll pick up wind noise. Sometimes it doesn't pick up right at all, and I got to reshoot. But that's what I got. As I get money to do it, I will upgrade equipment. But for now, it'd be nicer to have a shop to actually work out of. That's my primary goal. Once we get the shop up, and as funds allow, because, you know, sponsorships, commercial revenue and such, at first we'll go into, you know, what I need for the shop and basic living expenses. I mean, it's, we all know it's not cheap, and inflation has really hit all of us pretty hard. So it's kind of a total bummer, dude, how things have hit us all. We're getting somewhere. I'm starting to see the purple streaks in the metal off and on. And really, by heating the inside of this, the flame gets to curl around and heat most of it at once. Where if I stick to just the outside, that bottom half is not going to get warm. One of the drawbacks to my setup here is this is a piece of angle iron that was sitting outside. So it's, you know, 35 degrees like it is outside right now. So it has to heat up. As the copper heats up, the copper takes heat quicker, the iron takes it slower. It's just the nature of the beast. The laws of thermodynamics are hard to beat. Not like you can't defeat the law of gravity or time. There, we're getting that nice purple to it. Which kind of reminds me. Start heating up the tips of the tool here. It came from inside, so it won't be too bad. Yeah, some of you are probably going, hey, this is like watching paint dry. And others are going, oh, what color is he going for? Is he going for a wheat color? Is he going for a blue? Is he going for purple, orange? You know, the fellow amateur blacksmiths out there. Yes, technically working with copper is a form of blacksmithing. Proper term would be a coppersmith. Like I said earlier, a lot of guys out there try to go, so I haven't seen any women do them, it doesn't mean there aren't, try to make full size or larger than full size roses. And any instructions you find are always for those. This took a lot of math and geometry to work out how to set the petals up. Okay, let's see. Oh, that bends pretty easy. Alright, there's piece number 1. Now piece number 2, you notice has an issue. This is a piece from where I was putting my AC in, and it kinked on me. Let's see if we can flatten this out. I may have to resort to getting the acetylene torch out for this one. I don't want to, for the simple matter that acetylene is not cheap right now. Ooh, boy. Not like it ever really has been. And this piece is going to be kind of tricky to heat. To be able to keep up with it. one of those cases where if I was going to make, you know, eventually, if I was going to do it right now, but eventually I will have an actual forge, and this wouldn't take hardly any time to heat up because it would be plenty hot all the way around it. Stick it in, a minute or two later, yank it out. Don't take your eye off of it. It'd be like having milk in a pan and on the stove and take your eye off it. If anyone's ever done that before, you know it makes a mess. Like, say you're making pudding from scratch. Once milk starts to boil, it heats up fast and goes everywhere because, well, for one thing, if I remember correctly, it doesn't boil at 212 Fahrenheit. It boils a little lower. We're starting to see the heat tracings. And this is where if I had a videographer that was better than a tripod, an actual human one, they could zoom in and show you. But I am short-staffed. That happens when you're short money. We'll get there. We will get there. By the way, don't have your finger too close to the end of the torch. It gets hot. I actually considered getting one of those weed burner or ice melting torches to do this, and I looked at the price and it's like, yeah, I can do with what I got. I do that frequently. Hey, you know, if I had, look at the price. Yeah, I can do without it. But a lot of you can relate to that. And remember, especially here in the future, if you'd like to see me continue to make videos on a regular basis, check the Help Support Maura page on my website. No donation is too small. I have Venmo, Cash App, and an Ethereum wallet. Supposedly it takes, or not Ethereum. Supposedly my my crypto wallet will take Ethereum and Bitcoin, but it will definitely take Bitcoin. If anyone is generous enough to give me a whole Bitcoin, hey, great. Thank you. Get the shop up and keep me going for a year. I don't see anyone being that generous. $5 here, $10 there. Everything helps. Otherwise, I can drink. I think my biggest donation so far is $100. If you're wondering why the flame started pulsing there for a minute, I jiggled the propane bottle down below. Okay. Gotta be careful where I put that. Don't want to turn it off quite yet. Helps to have these the right direction. We're going to quench it. Alright. Let's see if I can get everything set up for the anvil work now. And we'll be back. Okay, here we are again. You can see I've got the anvil sitting here on the floor. And I've got my copper pipe out of the quench bucket. So the first step is to open this stuff up as much as we can in as little effort as we can. And you're probably going to find me blocking the camera occasionally, as this is still fairly new to working with the camera, actually filming. My anvil, if you haven't guessed, is homemade out of a piece of old I-beam. To get the shape here on the end, I actually set a steam iron down and traced it out with a Sharpie marker. It's roughly the right shape. May not be precisely anvil shaped, but overall I have an anvil shaped object. We all know it's not, for one thing, a real anvil would not move around as easily as this one does. This piece of pipe might give me a little more trouble, seeing as it was curved. Back in frame. I know roughly where the frame is. It's not that difficult to bend with the pliers at this point. Now, if you were to have tried it before the annealing process, it would not have been easy at all. But it bends out rather smooth, rather quickly. Now, there's your hammer. And my anvil does not have a good solid home to put it on. The best I got is to hold it with my knees. You want to start your blows kind of in the middle and work out, up and out, up and out, because you got to push the metal. So if you start on an edge, you're pushing the metal across. That's difficult, and sometimes you'll find it cracks. You can only do so many blows, and you got to turn it around, do it the other way. Let the hammer do the work. Gravity and the weight of the hammer will do the work. You don't need to come down and just plow into it with force. Let the hammer do the work, not you. And then as you hit at a glancing blow in the direction you want it to go. And if you're me, you keep moving the anvil back where it goes. Turn the plate around, shuffle the anvil. Flip your tin or copper. Now, we got a fairly flat piece. Didn't take a lot of work. It is still, as you can see by the bow, fairly soft. But I'm going to end up annealing it again and then quenching it, and it'll be more hammer, about as much as we did just now. Heat it, anneal it, heat it, quench it, hammer, heat, quench, hammer, because we're after making this, look at the wall where I can see it a little bit bigger than this it is now, a little thinner, and it'll widen and lengthen. Total, we're at we want about a 30%, 25 to 30% increase in its squared size. Yes, is a rectangle, but in this shape, we want it to increase in size 20 to 30%, which will bring the thickness, which is really hard to tell, down to about 40 to 60 thousandths of an inch. That is workable for what we're doing. Anything thinner would take probably a lot more hammering, a lot more work, but we don't want it too thin or the rose isn't durable. We don't want it too thick or we can't bend it. So we got a fine line in there. So set that up there. Let's see what we can do with this piece of bent here. The reason it was rejected is the kinks. Kinks like this you can't have in refrigeration. It slows the flow down on the refrigerant, which is something you don't want. You want that stuff to flow fast and free. Alright, let's see what happens. We're either going to end up with a mess or a flat piece. far. Looking good. Let's see if we can get this where I'm not blocking it with my arm. Might need the other pliers for that. The handle just does not want to stay where I want it to, does it? That's actually coming out fairly flat. Alright, it's going to be time to anneal it again. But, you can see, you take something that's pretty much mangled, flatten it out pretty good. So, I won't bore you guys with heat and quench and beating it all the way out. The video could end up hours long. Each rose has approximately 10 hours worth of work in it total. I've got some older video from working on them I'll incorporate in off of another camera. I've got some stills from making the first one we may incorporate into this set. But yeah, like I said, it would get really boring really quick if I were to show you the whole process, because it's got a good 10 hours in the rose I made before. I don't expect the others to take any less time. I've worked with copper most of my life, so I am well versed in how it goes. So guys, I thank you for watching. I might put a few stills from the first one in here, but for now, let's call it quits. Talk to you later.